strange, and I apologize for those of you that were tuned in over on the Alexa channel. But I was broadcasting on the wrong channel. I do office hours on the Alexa channel, but for all of this Star Wars stuff, all this kind of like I'm just going to sit and write some code stuff. All of this is actually done on my own channel, which is on Twitch, but it's just Jeff Blankenburg. So I'm going to get back to what I was doing, but I'm very disappointed in myself that I was streaming on the wrong channel. So let's just confirm that I've gotten this right now. They should say that they're hosting me, which is great. I'm happy that Alexa will host me. But yeah, somehow I've completely screwed that up. So this looks right now. And then if I come over here to Jeff Blankenburg, I should see me streaming, which is what I would expect. Cool. Yeah, that looks right. Okay, awesome. All right, sorry everybody. That was kind of weird. I actually went in and changed the streaming code so that this exact thing wouldn't happen, and I apparently picked the wrong one. Not enough focus this morning, I guess. So thank you, Jeff Nunn, for joining. Illuminautics, thank you for being here. So I'm assuming you guys have been watching and kind of following along with what I've been doing. The last thing that I really need to do is check and see if when I send APLT to the clock, if that actually works. And it would really be handy if I had the clock over here, huh? I don't think I have an easy way to do that. Let's see if I can plug and unplug a device. Oh my gosh, that is a clock one. I didn't realize that. This most certainly did not have a clock on it before. I know it didn't. I was looking at it and I thought, oh, that's not a clock. I'll have to use a different one. All right, let's try this. Alexa, open Star Wars Databank. Alexa, open Star Wars Databank.
Hello. I was expecting someone with your reputation to be a little older.
Alexa,
How?
play the opening crawl for Episode 1.
Turmoil has engulfed the Galactic Republic. The taxation of trade routes to outlying star systems
Alexa,
is in
quit.
dispute.
Sorry. Yeah, I will definitely set up some devices. There should be a trigger warning for all that. Ice Cream, good morning. Welcome. For those of you that don't know, I've been streaming for the last 20 minutes, but I was doing it on the Alexa channel and not on my own. So we've made a little bit of progress this morning already, but I think that's okay. So what I just saw using that device with a clock on it is that my APLT stuff isn't working yet. So and that's okay. I'm not married to this stuff happening, but I feel like if I come into my logs and I look at what's actually happening, let's go back and see if we can find a most recent one where we asked for episode 1. This is episode 1. So my request envelope here has alexa.presentation.aplt. That's good. And then my intent request, I have episode 1, I have crawl, I have all of that looks really good. And then the thing that I sent back was just SSML. So now I'm getting a false response for when I do have a device that has APLT. Man, I really want to fix this right now, but I have other stuff that I really want to focus on. All right, let's take one more look here. Let's come down here. Let's just do this first. I have where did it go? If supports APLT. So let's check here first. If it supports video, that's great. So that would be how we'd actually play the video player. And then that's the video chunk. Then if it supports APLT, then we should, as I recall, I need to get rid of this also. Or maybe I don't need to get rid of that? I don't remember. So we'll figure that out in a second. But if I do support APLT, then we want to put this stuff on the display of the clock. That was something that I was trying to do. And then finally, I don't have display capability, so I just read them the thing. This is where I'm ending up. So it thinks that I do not support APLT, which means there's something wrong with my logic there. So that's the thing that I'm going to have to look at. But there's a question here, so let's see what that is. I'd love a human response to the question. Is there a real timeline happening for Apple Music to support playing on multi-Echo devices versus just one? I switched from Spotify to Apple Music, and I am not loving the playback capability on Echo. I think I do this all the time. I think I do. Let's. This is a great question, Illuminautics, and I'm happy to try to answer this for you. So let me see. But I use Apple Music in my house. So I'm going to go into my devices, and I'm going to set up a new group. New multi-room music, and I'm going to call this one. So I have all of these speakers here behind me. None of them are currently in a group in my house. Oh, okay, I think I understand your issue now. You're trying to use the Apple Music app to select your music. So it's not about Apple Music supporting this, it's about the Apple Music app supporting this. That I can see potentially being an issue. But let's see, I'm just going to choose all the ones that I've indicated are Office or Lab or whatever. Lab. Office Echo Dot with clock. Cool. Next. And we're going to call this. No, I don't want to call it Office. We'll give it a name to be. We'll call this Lab. Save. I definitely get what you're saying, but I want to show you that, like, especially if you have 10 echoes, why use the app at all? I guess that's the question that I'm having. I'm not challenging you on this. Everybody has their own workflow, and if that's the way you like to work, that's fine. But I've just set this up now, so I have all of these devices grouped as what I call the lab. So now I'm going to say, let's pick a good song. Let's do Back in Black by AC/DC in the lab. Okay. Alexa, play Back in Black on Apple Music in the lab.
Back in Black by AC/DC from Jeff's Apple Music. Playing.
Okay. It just couldn't hear me. My goodness. So you want to use your phone as a remote control, which I think makes total sense. And the Alexa app isn't working for you. I like Spotify Play. It was so easy. I mean, there is always going to be differences in software, and so if there's specific things about Spotify that you like, my feeling is like you should stick with Spotify. But what I have found is that you could also use the Alexa app to just talk to it, right? So you don't have to, like, I don't have any control over how Amazon Music's interface works. We don't at all. And so if they're not providing the kind of interface you want, that's tricky. But what I do, I have, obviously I have whole house set up with all the echoes I have, and then I also have this lab that I just set up right now. Oh, you don't know the songs by name. Because I was going to say, you could just talk to the app on your phone and tell it where to play it and what to play it and whatever. Man, I don't know. I mean, it's a tricky problem for sure. No, I don't think you need a HomePod. I don't even know that necessarily solves your problem. I guess maybe it would, but I feel like this is more about music organization. I mean, certainly the interface would make everything easier for you. But one of the things that I really struggle with too is that there's lots of songs that I really like and I can never remember them. And so every time I hear a song or I think about it, I always make a playlist of music that I like, and then I'll just call up that playlist. Um, but man, no, I don't know that I have a very good answer for you on this Illuminatics. That's a tricky one for sure. So I apologize, but I don't think I have a good answer for you. I wish I did. Mm, but if you're willing to just ask for music or call your playlists, like all of that stuff should work pretty well. Jomo, let's talk about the supported interfaces helper, because this is code that I wrote quite a while ago. Um, but I completely understand what you're trying to do. Um, it's it's one of those things that, like, you're trying to get a tool that doesn't necessarily do the job you want to do the job you want, and this is probably more a request of Apple Music than it is of Alexa. I don't think that we're stopping them from providing that functionality because Spotify does, but I don't think I have a great answer for you on that. I just realized I need to mute a bunch of devices now. Okay, so of course they do. Of course they do. Okay, so Jomo, is there a specific supported interface helper function like baked into the SDK? I haven't seen that one yet. I'd love to know more about that. I also, while I could use something else, this should work. I don't really know why it's not working, but we're going to get into that right now. Because, I mean, this should alexa.presentation.aplt, and if we look at my interface here, alexa.presentation.aplt. So, I mean, I'm checking the right thing, but I'm not hitting it. Not like I want to. So simple, and somehow it's not working. Well, I'm going to put this off for a little bit, and we're going to get to some of the stuff that I really wanted to do. So for those of you that tuned in on the ROG channel earlier, one of the issues that I was having was with the opening crawl on a device without a screen. It was breaking, and so I found my issue. The issue was, if we go to my crawl handler, wherever that is, this one. I was checking for the APLT stuff right here, and I was actually comparing it against undefined. It was like this, which is not a value that I ever returned, so it was always returning true, basically. Well, true or false. It was never returning undefined. So I've at least fixed that, and that works now. The thing that I don't have, which is totally fine, is this whole APLT section, which basically is just checking to see if you have an echo dot with a clock, and if you do, then I would love to scroll the words of the opening crawl across the screen. The other stuff that I wanted to do was fix some of my data randomization issues that I'm having, and then I have some content like this right here. Unfortunately, there are only 9 opening crawls. There are only opening crawls for the 9 movies in the Star Wars saga. Like, that kind of content shouldn't be in my code. I'm generally pretty strict about that fact, but as I'm building the skill, sometimes I'll just throw content in knowing that it needs to come out. So I don't have a ton of that. You'll see that most of the time, except for these little odd cases, there isn't a lot of content in my skill, but I do need to remove them because there's too much here right now, and I would like to get rid of it so that I can externalize and randomize and do all sorts of fun things like that. So that was the stuff that I was going to work on today, but now I'm hung up on this whole supports APLT function and why it might be, that supports APLT. And Joe mentioned a supported interface helper. Let's see if we can just see what that is. finding anything specific. So I'm guessing he's referring to something that's in the SDK. That's great. Thank you for the ad. But it's not. This should just work. So we're gonna do a couple things here. Let's go back into our code and we'll do a little playtime. So we'll do this and we'll do this, and then we'll just comment this line out for a second, and we'll say console.log. We'll just take this piece here. We'll call this supported. Come on. Yes, I do know the answer to that. Illuminautics, I can help you here in 1 second. The way to do that, and I'll try to show this on screen, is I'm on the app right now, right? And so I'm on devices on the bottom left, and then you hit the plus sign up here at the top. So I'll hit the plus sign, and that gives me this option. And one of the things I can choose is add a device. And down here at the very bottom of the list of device types you can add is the word other. And if you choose other, you end up on this screen. And then all you need to do is hit the button at the bottom, which is discover devices. And that will go through the process of discovering devices. It's not super obvious or clear or anything, but that's the place you do it. Okay. So now I have supported interfaces being logged, and I'm only checking for supported interfaces, and then no matter what, I'm going to return false. So that is perfect. In your code system, it's not capitalized. In your code system, oh my goodness. Wow, what a great find. That's amazing. Thank you. That's probably my issue. I wonder how that even happened, because I usually copy and paste all this stuff. But let's fix that everywhere. My goodness, ice cream. That is amazing. That is an eagle eye find right there for sure. Thank you, Jeff Nunn, for calling him out. That is unbelievable that you just saw that. Let's just give that a run, because this was going to be a pain in my butt. It would have failed and failed and failed, and I'd have to work my way all the way back up to that before we would have found the issue. Well, that's interesting. So I did a discover devices Illuminautics, and it found both of my printers. Those have never been a thing I've been able to find before. That's kind of cool. All right. This is going to fail, or it might say something that isn't the crawl, but we'll try it. Alexa, open Star Wars Databank. Can you guys see the clock?
Hello.
Is that visible?
I was expecting someone with your
Alexa,
reputation to be...
play the opening crawl from episode 2.
There is unrest in the Galactic Senate. Several thousand solar systems have declared their intentions to leave the Republic. This separatist movement, under the leadership of the mysterious Count Dooku, has made it difficult for the limited number of Jedi Knights to maintain peace and order in the galaxy.
Alexa, stop.
May the Force be with you, always.
I fixed all my systems. Well, here, let's do this first. This is always one of my favorite things to be able to test things, is that we'll just do this, and we'll just do return true, because I'm using the right device. So let's at least confirm that the rest of my code is working. And so is my typing, apparently. All right. We'll push that up. This will just always return true, which should be true for this clock device, which means that it should pass the APL, and that should solve my issue. And then we should at least be able to pass the APL and see if that's working. So, Alexa, ask Star Wars Databank to play the opening crawl from episode 4. What?
Rebel spaceships, striking from a hidden base, have won their first victory against the evil galactic empire.
Alexa, quit. Now I don't understand. So if I come up here to my crawl intent handler, wherever that is, this one, if it supports APLT, then add this directive. Well, I guess we could look at the logs and see if we actually added the directive, but this is weird. Okay. This is the one we just did. I did pass the APLT. I am work from home, yes, Illuminatics. I'm happy to answer. I like you guys participating and asking questions. Yeah, I do work from home. This is my home office with all the nonsense behind me, and I'm working on setting up another camera angle that actually shows like from the far corner the whole room here. But the camera didn't want to work this morning, so we'll get that set up eventually. So I did pass in the APLT, and my device seems to have just not done anything with it because it read the output speech. Well, if you whisper it, it'll still show up on screen because people are, everybody can see my chat. But you're welcome to ask the question unless there's some like security breach I have. I don't think there's anything that makes my office terribly insecure. But all right, what else could be going wrong here? Because it thinks I'm using the echo dot, so I'm getting into that loop, and I'm passing in the APLT, and I'm actually sending that to Alexa. So what? What could possibly be the reason that that didn't show up? All right, I've spent more time on this than I really want to, so I'm gonna add this to my list of things that need to be fixed. APLT for echo dot with clock. Not working. And then we're gonna go back to my code, and we're just gonna change. If we go to this function here, we're just going to put this back. I feel like that part should be working fine. Okay. All right, I'm not going to worry about that for now. So the other thing that I want to do is I have this randomization intent. And this is when someone would say something like, give me a random thing, or give me something from episode 4, or whatever. Like, they have a very focused interest in a specific type of content. And so what we're going to do here is, if there was media, that's this, then we're going to have to add a couple new lines to this. So I'll leave that as is for now. But what I really want to do is to get the media item. So we'll call this media item and await, and we should just be able to get, I have all these helper functions for calling into my Airtable down here, so let's see if we can find the right one. Get. Probably the right way to do this is just one of the queries that I do. Where would be a good example of that? I think they're down here at the bottom. Yeah, this. So I guess we'll just create one of these. Get out by category. Get specific data by ID. Is this might actually be the thing that I want? Yeah. Yeah, I think this will get me what I want. Okay, so again, saving the day with code I've written previously. It's one of my favorite experiences. That's the trailer. Actually, this is the line that I need. That's even better. So in here is where we have this thing that I was starting to write. So I have the media item, and this isn't resolved words, it'll be resolved media, but that's fine, this is all the same. So, and I'm passing in the ID this time. So what I'm doing is I'm calling out to my media table, give you guys a little look at this. I have a media table, and so the user is going to indicate to me that they want something from one of these properties, right? Clone Wars or Episode 7 or Rogue One or whatever. And I have a bunch of synonyms for those things so that they can say it the way they want to say it. But what I want to do is grab this entire record because I have lookup tables for every type of thing that it might have. So if there's a species in a specific episode, or there's a creature or a location, those things will be listed here in these columns just as I'm adding data. That's one of the nice things about Airtable, is it automatically does this for me. So if I grab this record, then I can pretty quickly just say, oh, well, give me a character from Clone Wars, and then I can open up this section and I can see all of the characters that I have in my stuff that's part of Clone Wars. And then I could randomly grab one. Now, the trick with this is that I will have to make 2 calls. I'm going to have to make a call to my database first to get this media record, and then I'm going to have to make a call again to get the individual item that I've selected, which I don't love 2 calls for, but I think that's how this is going to have to work. So I have my media item. Then I need to randomly pick a thing from it. And we were doing that earlier by type. So we've already determined a type. Because I think you could also say, give me a droid from episode 4. So the type stuff all still works. So this still doesn't really get me where I want to be. Okay, so I guess the way we'll do this is I have a type, I have my media item here, and I need to be able to say I hate to do a while, but I don't do these very often, so I may even be screwing up the syntax, but I can say media. What do I return from get specific data by ID? What does that object look like? I return the record, so I just need the fields. Cool. Okay, so in here, am I in the right one? Yeah. While media dot fields type I don't even remember how to write a while. Let's see this. JavaScript. I want to make sure I do this right. While loop. Find W3. We'll see what you got. While this is true, then do this thing. Okay. I'm doing it the right way, I guess, as much as I hate a while loop. So if it's undefined, so the thing that I'm trying to catch here, I guess I should explain this a little bit, is that media is the element that I'm pulling out, right? So we look at this thing, and if I look at my table, I have this table here, and I have all these columns with the data that I care about, which is character, droid, location, weapon, on and on and on, right? Creature, vehicle. So one of the things that I'm going to have to change, because otherwise it's going to break, is the idea that all of these columns actually need to be, I called them affiliation, but what they need to be called is organization. And this one will be called, I got to do this for all of them. I don't even have those for that? All right. Interesting. I thought I would. No? Vehicle? This probably has an organization, right? Yeah. Weapons, do those have? No, I didn't do it for that. That's fine. Technology. No. I'm just trying to fix my data here to make sure that this doesn't break. Locations, do those have? No? Cool. I mean, I guess that's good. Appearances, and then organization itself. So now when I come back here, I can change media column to organization. And I think we're good. I'm actually wondering how that works. If I have organizations, first order stormtroopers, for example. Oh, because okay, I see. So I'm affiliating it here. Okay, I think that's good. So we have our data kind of in a good structure now. Now we can come back to my code. We can do the thing that we need to do. So if for some reason that field's undefined, and the reason that it might be undefined is if you look at media here, I have all these affiliations, but you can see like I don't have any organizations for episode 2. I don't have any things from episode 5. I don't have any technologies from episode 7. I will eventually, but there's so much data to enter into this database that I just don't have it yet. And what I don't want to do is randomly try to grab a technology from episode 7 and come back with nothing. So what I want to do here is, while this is undefined, I'm just going to do this again, where I'm just going to reset type to grab a different one. And it's just going to be random, but this will happen pretty fast. And then I can be comfortable knowing that I can make this call. This is my second call. So we'll move this to the bottom. So I've got my media. I now have my media record. I can check and say, hey, if there is data in there, then I'm going to randomly choose. No, this isn't the call I want to make. It's close. So we're going to do a var item equals get random item from media.fields type. That gives me one specific item out of that thing that I don't actually know what it looks like, so I'm just going to console log this now because I don't know. Random item. I don't actually know what this is going to look like, at least off the top of my head. So what I'm going to do instead is just say json.stringify item. And that allows me to then see what that item is that I grabbed. And hopefully we're writing some clean code here that isn't going to break. And then the last call that I would need to make is to get, let's call this media item because I don't actually know what it is yet. So this is the media item. And then what I need to do is call my other get specific data by ID. This is the thing that I need. And this is the second call that I was talking about earlier. So this is going to be var item. I guess I don't even need the var because I already have item defined. Item is get specific data by ID. This time it's going to be from type, whatever type is. And the ID that I'm passing in is going to be media item. Boy, we really need to look at what this... I just don't know what these structures are going to look like because I haven't done this before. So this has to be... This will be random... I'm sorry. This will be the media. So this we'll call media. This will be media like that. Then media fields type. Okay, that's great. And then this will be media item. And then I just don't know what this is going to be yet, so we'll save that. And everything's going to break, and that's fine because I just want to see how this works. I just don't know. I don't know what this whole payload will look like because I'm going to have media. It's going to have a bunch of elements. We just kind of need to test it and see. We don't need this right now. We can do the one in front of me. Okay. Alexa, open Star Wars Databank.
Hello there. How may I be of assistance?
Alexa, get something random from episode 4.
Ooh, we had a slight weapons malfunction.
Alexa, stop.
But ooh.
I expected that. That's
Never
fine.
tell me the odds.
So I gotta go here, and go here, and go here. So the media looks like this. This is where I have all of the list of characters, and I just have the ID. That's all I get, which is fine. But these are all of the unique identifiers for each of the things. And so when I randomly pull one out, media item, I have the ID. So it's just a string. That's all that I have. Okay, that's pretty easy. So this here, this item, is going to be just media item. I don't need to do anything else. That might be all the code I need. That would be marvelous. We also got through the while loop. It didn't break or go to infinity or anything, so that's always a positive. So let's see if it actually works this time. Alexa, open Star Wars Databank.
Hello.
Alexa,
I was expecting...
give me something random from episode 5.
I have chosen a location for you. Asteroid fields, consisting of asteroid clusters of varying size, can be found throughout the galaxy, including the Half system.
Alexa,
Due to their unpredictability,
give me a droid from episode 1.
I have chosen a vehicle for you. Built in secret by the young slave Anakin Skywalker, this shiny blue and silver pod racer was boasted to be the fastest ever to compete in the Boonta Eve Classic. It wasn't idle puffery by its creator.
Alexa,
when thrown into the...
give me something random from episode 9.
I have chosen a droid for you. A resourceful astromech droid.
Alexa, give me a random item from episode 9. That's not going to work.
I have chosen a droid for you. Cobbled from odds and ends in the workshop of
Alexa,
the
quit.
Droidsmith, Little D.
Okay, so, I mean, it seems to be working. The thing that it's not recognizing is that if I have a type, then get the type. Let's go look at the logs on that. I want to see what you heard me say. So you heard the media part, but you didn't hear the type part when I said, like, give me a droid or whatever. Although I said that one randomly, so let's see if... That one also has nothing. That one also has nothing. And that was my launch request. So... Interesting. Well, let's go look at our utterances and see what I'm doing wrong there. That's what it seems like might be my issue. So I have a random intent in here somewhere. Thing, species, organization, trailer, crawl, actor, random. Oh, it's because I don't have an utterance for that, because I'm a dummy. Okay, so this should be pretty easy to fix, right? So give me a type from media. Let's do a simpler one. Type from media. Give me a random type from media. Let's flip one around just to help. Show me a media type. So this might be, show me an episode 5 vehicle, right? Something like that. We're flipping it around a little bit. Tell me about, we should also have some tell me's in here. Tell me about type. Type. Okay, that's good. So this will take a little bit longer because I gotta build the model again. But let's push that out there, and I think that will solve it. I think that was the issue. Is I was trying to do both, and I didn't have any utterances to handle both. So I can see how that would be an issue. So this just takes a minute to go through that. I'm going to check something here while we wait. All right, updating our Lambda function. And we're good, so let's give this a try. Alexa, open Star Wars Databank.
Hello there. What else can I provide information about?
Give me a random droid from episode 6.
I have chosen a droid for you. A lanky smelter droid, 8D8 assisted EV9D9 in terrorizing Jabba the Hutt's droid pool. Normally limited to simple tasks in the harsh confines of ore extraction facilities, 8D8 had been reprogrammed for sadism. How may I be of assistance?
Give me a random organization from episode 1.
I have chosen a weapon for you. Thermal detonator. I don't have any information
Alexa,
about
stop.
this weapon yet.
So my guess is that if I go to my media data and I go to organization for episode 1, it's empty. So,
I have chosen a weapon for you. Thermal detonator. I don't have any information about this weapon yet. My data is still being completed. My apologies. What else can I provide information about? What else can I provide information about?
quit. Interesting. This still doesn't really solve the problem I was trying to solve, which is, I guess I've created a new problem for myself. If I say, give me something random from a media item, like episode 5 or whatever, then it now works. We're now doing the thing that I wanted it to do. The new issue that I have is that if you say, give me a droid from episode 4, and I don't have any, then I'm going to randomly pick something else for you. Which I guess is fine. It's not an error, but it would feel weird to the user to say, give me a droid, and I tell you about a species or a creature or something. It would be nice to be able to say, oh, I don't have any of those. I think we can come up with a solution to this problem. So if I go into my code and we look at what we have here, if we hit the while loop, that means there wasn't anything. So in here I could say, if resolved type doesn't equal undefined. So I've already done this check before up here. But what I'm doing is saying basically, did they indicate to me a type? And if they did, then let's acknowledge that. And then in here, I could say if they had indicated a type, I could say speech output equals, I couldn't find a let's see if this magic works. I couldn't find a droid from the media that you indicated. Lily Hazel, the project is coming along marvelously. We're working through some very nuanced issues and errors, which is really good. Thank you for joining this morning. I'm trying to come up with very informative ways to let a user know when they get something that they weren't expecting. But we're well on our way here. So I couldn't find a droid from what media did you indicate? I want this, but I want the name. Because I haven't... I do have that. If I take media, copy, from media.fields, and what do I call the name of that thing? So if I go to my media table, I have like a full name for each one of these, I think. Pronunciation. That's what I want. Pronunciation. Pronunciation. Also, this totally annoys me. I'm just going to open a new file here and just go on a quick rant. Because I work in voice and I'm constantly worried about pronunciation, you might say, hey, I want you to pronounce this for me. And so you would spell it. Pronounce. Whoop, no, I forgot. I got an extra U in there. Pronounce. I want you to pronounce a word for me. But if I ask you what the pronunciation of a word is, it's this. You lose that O, and that makes me very angry. I hate English. Anyway, just sharing that. All right, don't save. Okay, so let's zoom back out a little bit. Media.fields.pronunciation. I'm sorry. I couldn't find a droid from episode 4, A New Hope. Plus period space. Semicolon. So I add that, and then I'm going to say, I have chosen a weapon for you instead. I won't say the instead part. And then I will give them the description and the thing. So let's see if that works. We should not hear that. We should not hear that if they don't ask for a type. So we'll start there. Once the... Oh, I deployed everything. Shoot. That'll take a little longer. If I just say, give me something random from episode 4, it should just pick something at random for me, and we should always land on something. There should never be a time that I don't get an item. But if I say, give me... Let's find something that's broken. Or not broken, but missing, because I just don't have all my data in here yet. Let's say, give me a creature from episode 9. There are creatures. I just haven't entered them into the data yet. And it's really more metadata. I have creatures from episode 9. I just haven't put them in and tagged them that way. So as soon as this is done, I'm going to say, give me a creature from episode 9. That'll be my test for an issue. Alexa, open Star Wars Databank.
Hello.
Alexa,
I was expect.
give me a creature from episode 9.
I have chosen a droid for you. A skittish but loyal astromech, BD-8 accompanied Poe Dameron on many missions
Alexa,
for
stop.
the Resistance. Do or do not. There is no try.
Okay, so what just happened there? I asked you for a creature, perfect, from episode 9, perfect. So that's good. So did we indicate the media that I got? Yeah. I shouldn't even have creature in there because I don't have any creatures. And that's correct. So why did it grab a droid? Ice Cream, I want you to be my personal developer. That would be fantastic. You're nailing it. And I even thought to myself earlier, like, I'm probably going to need a plus equals. And then I didn't do it. So I'm just overwriting. And then I didn't do the thing either. I'm not on a good run here. But Ice Cream, if you could just pair with me always, I would appreciate it. Because you're making everything better. Okay, so I think once we do this again, the thing I don't need to do, which is push the model. You're awesome. We should find a way to pair together once in a while. Like I don't know when and where you work, but like it'd be fun to just go sit and build something together in a coffee shop or something. So for those of you that don't know, Ice Cream lives here in Columbus. Where I live, and it would be cool to get together once in a while and just build some cool stuff. All right, we're almost done. Alexa, open Star Wars Databank.
Hello there.
Alexa,
What else?
give me a creature from episode 9.
Ooh, we had a slight weapons malfunction.
Okay.
But ooh.
All right.
Everything's perfectly
What's
all
our
right
error?
now. We're fine. We're all fine here now.
Speak output,
Thank you.
not
What else can I
speech
provide
output.
information about? What else can I provide information about?
Quit. Speak output and speak output. Here's a lesson for all of you developers or would-be developers out there. If you want to use a variable, you have to use the same name every time. It's one of those new things they just added to programming. But if you want to use a variable, yeah, you have to use the right name. It's weird. I don't know why they just added that. Okay, so let's try and do this the right way this time. Just the lambda. we'll try one more time here without any issues. Alexa, open Star Wars Databank.
Hello there. What else can I provide information about?
Alexa, give me a creature from episode 9.
I'm sorry. I couldn't find a creature from episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker.
Yes!
I have chosen a vehicle for you. Despite her humble origins and shabby exterior, the Millennium Falcon has played a role in some of the greatest
Alexa, quit.
victories of the Rebel Alliance.
Okay, that was all super cool. Lily Hazel, the question is, how long have I been doing Alexa development? I joined the Alexa team, doing what I'm doing today, in the late summer of 2016. Is that right? Goodness, that's a long time ago. But I had written a few Alexa skills on my own prior to that, so I would say I'm probably at almost 4 years. I think that's pretty reasonable. It was not long after the device was released. The device came out just around Christmas time 2015, and 8 months later I was on the team because I was really excited about all this stuff. So that is my answer to that. That's how long I've been around. Okay, this is one of those little things that's going to annoy me, but I say, I'm sorry I couldn't find a creature for you from episode 9. I have chosen a vehicle for you instead. I need the word instead to be in there. And so this is one of those little language things that I do all the time, where I'm going to put this, and I'm going to say instead, like a variable. And then up here, I'm going to say var instead equals nothing. And then in here, in this same place where I'm writing that statement, I'm going to set instead to equal the word instead. Instead equals instead, like so. Make sure that I'm not missing any spaces or anything. I have chosen a type for a droid for you, space, instead, period, space. All of that looks great. So now she will say instead when it makes sense, and otherwise she'll just say, I've chosen a droid for you, because that's the thing that I want to have happen. So let's push that, and hopefully that will make it sound a lot more official, like, hey, I'm making another choice for you instead. But then when I don't need to do that, it just doesn't say it. It's nice to be able to structure English sentences this way. Alexa, open Star Wars Databank and give me a creature from episode 9.
I'm sorry. I couldn't find a creature from episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. I have chosen a character for you instead. To uphold the legacy of his father, Admiral Gyal Akbar's son, Aftab, now serves the Resistance as a B-Wing pilot. Beyond his family's
Alexa,
close ties to...
give me a droid from episode 9.
I have chosen a droid for you. A skittish but loyal astromech, BD-8 accompanied Poe Dameron on many
Love when it
missions
works.
for
Alexa,
the
quit.
Resistance, helping...
Okay, so check that off. I've got my randomization solved for today, I think. So now if you ask for a random thing from a movie, I pull the movie record and make sure that I'm getting an actual item. So no matter what, I will have an item for you. If you choose a random category, so if you just say, give me a random droid, then it's just going to jump into the droid table and pull randomly a droid for you. And if you say both, then I will get the thing for you that you want, unless, of course, I don't have one of those, and then I will randomly choose a type for you otherwise that hopefully will still be interesting, but it'll still be from the same movie. This is technically only a temporary problem, but it allows me to have the flexibility to publish the skill without worrying about potential issues and errors like that. I'm covering my bases until I can get all my data filled out. Okay, so one of the other things that I would like to show you with the limited time that I have left today, I have 4 items on my list, and I've gotten 2 of them done, is I want to externalize some content. And there's one specifically that stands out to me, which is in my error handler, which is down here a little bit. And I really like this one. It's Han Solo's speech, but it's said in the device's voice. We had a slight weapons malfunction, but everything's perfectly all right now. We're fine. We're all fine here now. Thank you. This is a cool message to use for an error in my skill. Eventually, I might even think about actually grabbing the audio from the movie rather than speaking it out like this, but I don't want this in my code. And so what I need to be able to do is get an error message randomly from my database. So for those of you that haven't seen this before, I have a speech database that has things like welcomes. I can blow this up a little bit for you so it's easier to read. I have things like welcomes, I am AL3XA Human Cyborg Relations, or hello there, or hello, I was expecting someone with your reputation to be a little older. This is my welcome messages when you start the skill. I have goodbye messages. These are things that the skill says when you leave. I also have something I'm working on called a start query. I found that when you start the skill and you say, open Star Wars Databank, and it goes, here's some stuff you can do. I was using this action query, which might say things like, what else can I provide? Well, if you've just started the skill, there is no what else. I haven't provided you anything yet. So what I really need is two different distinctions, start queries and action queries. And so I need to install start query into my launch request, so we'll do that. And then one of the other things that I have in here is help messages, so I can add more of these, but these are things that basically tell the user, like, hey, here's some things you might want to ask about, right? Planets, weapons, and I give them examples so they can at least try some of those things. And then I'm building a quiz part to this skill, but that's going to be a V2 thing, I think. But I have correct answer and wrong answer things that you can say. And then I have metadata for some other stuff in here. So one of the first things that I need to do is I'm going to duplicate my action query table. This is a really nice feature of Airtable. I don't care about the records, but I want the table structure so that I don't have to build that again. I'm going to bring it over here to like near help. Maybe if I can do that properly. There we go. And I'm going to rename this one error. And in here, I'm going to have an NUS error that is that voice response. So we'll take the text that's in here. Nope, not all that. I just want this text. And we'll come back and replace that in a minute. But I'm going to take my error message that I have here, and I'm going to drop it in here so we have it. And then I can add more as I need them. You'll also see that I have an is disabled column. If I ever find that there's an issue or something's causing an error with my skill, all of my queries, all of the communications that I do with my database, always check to make sure I'm not pulling something that is disabled. So just by checking this box, I instantly remove it from circulation from all users. And so it's a very easy way for me to put a bunch of stuff in here, but if I find that I have an issue with something, I can easily pull it without deleting it, which is oftentimes what we run into, and then I've lost the thing and it's not in my database anymore. Okay, so I have my error table now, and I have a record in here, and it has the locale that I'm currently building for, which is NUS. So now I need to go get this record from my database. So the way that I do this is I have a method called getRandomSpeech. And if I go look at this method, you can see all it's doing is it's looking for my database, the speech database. And in here you can see that I'm making sure that is disabled is false, so that I'm not getting anything I don't want. And then I'm telling it what table do I want. And so in the case of this, I want the error table. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to go back to where my error message was, which was here. And I'm going to take a statement just like this, and I'm going to call this error message. And instead of action query, I'm going to say error. And then instead of these quotes right here, I can just say, make sure I'm doing this right. I think it just brings me back the text, so I can just say error message. But I always, always, always put a space between things because I'm never sure. I want to make sure that I'm not screwing my data up. So at the end of this, there is a period, which is good. And I think I think that'll work well. So I just add that space to make sure that I have a little breath between my statements. But that should now do the same thing, but now the data is coming from my database, and so I just have this get random speech method that I use all the time, that basically just makes that HTTPS call out, calls to my data table, randomly grabs one for me, and returns it. And so you can see down here, that's what I do, is I get all of the records from that table, and then I have a function called getRandomItem, which randomly selects one of the items out of there, and then I'm just pulling the voice response property, which is what we saw here. This is the voice response property. So it's just going to grab that specific property out of the table. So those couple of lines of code make it so that I can make easy calls to get the data out of my speech table that I need. So I think that's all I need to do. So let's give that a run. Again, I have to find a way to cause an error, which is hopefully not. I don't have a way right now where I can cause an error because I'm not aware of anything not working. And the more I correct things, the fewer errors we should get. But at least I know that that's been externalized. So what I will do is in my launch request, I'll break it. So we'll come in here and we'll just say get rid of that value. So let's push that out. And just by launching the skill, I should get an error now. But it should be still saying the Han Solo message. We're okay here now. So let's see. Let's see what we can do. Alexa, open Star Wars Databank.
Ooh, we had a slight weapons malfunction, but ooh.
Cool.
Everything's perfectly all right now.
Alexa, quit.
We're fine.
So we're still hearing that error message, which is perfect because that means it's calling out to my database and getting it. And actually, let's leave that for a moment and let's add another error message because then we can be sure that we're randomizing too. So if I come into my error table and I can say, what's another creative error message from? Let's see. I'm just making this up. We warned you. Always let the Wookiee win. Just so we have another message. And so I haven't changed any code. I'm not going to push more code. But let's try this again. Alexa, open Star Wars Databank.
We warned you. Always let the Wookiee win. What else can I provide information about?
Quit. Okay, so it's randomly grabbing one of those things. So I'm going to turn this back on. So
I didn't find a match for okay, so
Alexa,
you can ask about a character.
Stop.
Goodbye, old friend.
Okay, so we now have our error message stuff externalized. So I've taken some of the content that I'd written right here in line, and I've moved it so that so I took it out of my error message, right? So that's really good. I don't want to have any content living in my skill at all. So let's look at some of the other places that I have content and how I might be able to get rid of it. Yeah, like this is a really good example of things that I shouldn't do, right? Like I've hard-coded a sound effect over top of correct answers and wrong answers, but I'm not doing the quiz right now, so I'm not too worried about that one. The actor intent, this is a good example. So this is one of those ones that I do that's kind of tricky, but it's a clever way to kind of solve this problem. So I'm piecing a sentence together here. I have the name of an actor, or a name of a character, is played by, the name of an actor, and then I add on my action query on the end. So what I need is a way to do this thing. So what I'm going to do is in my table here, I'm going to create another one. Duplicate table. We're going to call this one actor. And I'll move it out here. And what I'm going to do with this one is a little different than I've done with those. So I still need the NUS, right? I'm still building structures that makes sense. But when we look at my code here, I have this resolved. I'm just going to take this whole thing like that. And then we'll get the actor statement in just a minute. But in here, this is where the values would go. The problem is that I'm just storing strings here. I don't have any real data. So what I want to do is take this part. This is the character name. So I'll say, I could just do character is played by actor. So this isn't always the way I do it. Generally, I mark it up with like some X's or things to make it very visible. But character is played by actor is just fine. And then what I do in my code is I'm going to have to get random speech. And we're going to call this actor speech. And in here, this will be called actor. Again, we're making that same call, so I don't have to do a lot of the work. I just have to tell it what table I want to pull it from. But then here, Ice Cream, I actually have this problem solved, and this is based on how I wrote the statement. So I'll show you this in just a second. So I'm going to do actor speech dot replace, and I'm going to replace character with the thing that I wish I hadn't deleted. So hold on, I'm going to take this, copy, back up a little bit to where actually this is the thing I should do. Just take this, copy that, and then go back to the state I'm currently in. Just so that I have the references to those values. Okay, so I know that I want to replace character with this. Copy. And so I want character to be replaced with that. And I want dot replace actor to be replaced with item.fields.actor. So that should solve that problem. I still like a space there just in case. I can't be certain that my data is all going to be consistent, whatever. So having a space at least helps a little bit. Actually, I want a period there too. Or no, I provided a period in the statement, which is this is where I should do it. You can see that I have a period here at the end of my sentence. Character is played by actor. So here I'm bringing in character is played by actor, and I'm bringing in the name of the character, so it would be Darth Vader is played by David Prowse, and that's how it would work. But the great question from Ice Cream is, what do you do if there's multiple actors? Well, this is a data problem. This isn't a sentence structure problem. And so what this allows me to do here is, let me save this, and I'll just let's make sure this works, and then I'll show you how I'm handling that specific issue, because that's going to be true more and more as we have more shows and all sorts of other things. Okay, so Alexa, open Star Wars Databank.
Hello there. What else can I provide information about?
What actor plays Luke Skywalker?
Luke Skywalker is played by Mark Hamill. How may I be of assistance?
Who plays Chewbacca?
Chewbacca is played by Peter Mayhew and Junius Swotomo. What else can I provide information about?
Who plays Ayla Secura?
Ayla Secura is played by Amy Allen in Episode 2 and Jennifer Hale in The Clone Wars. What else can I provide information about?
Okay, so I don't know how well you heard that. I don't have the volume cranked up here. But basically, for the Mark Hamill one, it was able to just say Mark Hamill and move on. For the Chewbacca one, where I have two different actors, it just gives me the name of both of the actors. It was Peter Mayhew and Junius Swotomo. who has played it recently, certainly since Peter Mayhew has passed away. And then the third one, Ayla Secura, is a character that's primarily been in the cartoons, but she has been voiced by one person in the TV shows, and she was played by another actress in one of the movies. The way that I'm
find a match for by one person
Alexa,
in TV shows, and she was...
quit. So the way that this is solved with my data is that if I go to a character, I have an actor column somewhere here. Yeah, I have an actor column. So you have to imagine that I'm always going to say something like, this character is played by, this character is played by this actor, or something along those lines. So the statement that I have for Ayla Secura, I don't know why I can't see this better, is I just write this into my statement. So in my actual data, instead of just saying Amy Allen, I say Amy Allen in episode 2 and Jennifer Hale in the Clone Wars. And that is the actor statement, right? So that's still what I'm going to replace the word actor in my statement with. It allows me to have some of that flexibility because I can say this however I want. I could also say Amy Allen in episode 2 and Jennifer Hale in the Clone Wars were the actors that played Ayla Secura, right? So I can flip this stuff around and still use the same data. So this is how I'm handling that specific situation. Another good example is Admiral Akbar. The puppeteer that played Admiral Akbar was not the voice of Admiral Akbar. And so in this case, the one I have highlighted here, you can see Tim Rose, but it was voiced by Eric Bauersfeld. So those are just little tricks that I'm using as I think about my data. But I now have, and this is what becomes really nice about this structure, is that I have this speech thing here where character is played by actor, and now I know that all of these statements, no matter, I can make as many of these as I want. I can say NUS, and then in this one I could say actor. How can I say this? Played character. Right, I think that should work. Because for the Chewbacca one, it says Peter Mayhew and Joonas Suotamo, and so I could say Peter Mayhew and Joonas Suotamo played Chewbacca. Right, simple like that. But I could also say Peter Mayhew in episodes 4, 5, and 6, or I know it's more than that, 1 through 6, and Joonas Suotamo in episodes 7 through 9 played Chewbacca. Right, that still works. So that is that's how that works there, I guess. But that's the structure that I'm going for a lot of this. So it allows me to then build these kind of dynamic structures where I don't have any of the data in here, but it's going to constantly just replace out those two capital lettered values every time that I use it. So I get to have the randomization of speech and just plug in the pieces that make sense. So let's go back. There was one more thing I wanted to do in the launch request, and that was start query. I wanted to change this to a start query instead because if I go back to my speech, this says things like I can answer questions about people and places in the universe, even vehicles, weapons. Ask me anything about the Star Wars universe. I could even say, what would you like to know? And US, and I can duplicate these things across these tables so that I can have the same thing in here. What else can I be? How can I be of assistance? But in here I can say, is there something else you would like to know? And the reason that this works well is because I know they've already heard some data. I know they've already asked me for something when I do an action query. But start query is something that I only use the first time they open the skill. Well, the first time they open the skill for this session, right? I don't want to assume that they've been here before or whatever. Yeah, Lord of Sound, you want me to see how one of the videos plays and how I get back to the skill afterward? Yeah, I can do that. I still need to tweak this, so this is not necessarily a representative example, but I will do that. So you can see it on screen here. Alexa, ask Star Wars Databank to play the opening crawl from episode 9. So I'm playing the video for now. We're going to let it just run. And then we're going to see if I can still talk to my skill after this is done. I've muted. I'm sure I'm going to get some kind of copyright knock on my Twitch stream right now for doing this, but that's okay. So you can see the words going by, The Rise of Skywalker. For those of you that are wondering where I got this stuff, these were all freely available on YouTube. So I just borrowed them? Borrowed's the right word. So we're just hanging out and waiting until this video is done playing. And then I think I can still talk to my skill. I might need to interrupt because I haven't hit... I know I talked yesterday about needing to like figure out some triggers. Let me add that to my list of... Trigger... at the end of videos. Okay, when the video ends, I'll try to ask it for something. Alexa, give me a droid from episode 4.
I have chosen a droid for you. A red astromech droid. R5D440
Alexa, quit.
found a hub.
So, Lord of Sound, what I know you want, and what I ideally want too, is when the video stops playing, I want Alexa to chime back in and say, okay, what else can I help you with, right? My action query kind of stuff. Oh, I don't know how to do that yet. I'm knowledgeable enough to be dangerous with APL, but I'm not so knowledgeable that I know all the little nuances. So this is something that I'm going to have to investigate. And with the 15 minutes that I have left today, I'm not going to be able to do that. But I will spend a little bit of time, maybe this afternoon or tomorrow, figuring that stuff out. And then hopefully I can bring that to the table on Monday. I think my new goal is to stream Mondays and Wednesdays at this time. This seems to work pretty well for me. I was teetering with the idea of Tuesdays and Thursdays at this time. But it seems like I have a lot of weird meetings and things that start right at noon, like office hours. Yeah, Lord of Sound, I was able to... I had to interrupt it. I had to say Alexa. So I had to... I was still in my skill. I didn't have to say exit or anything like that. But I'm using APL. I'm not using the video player control. I'm using APL to play my video. So that might be the difference. I don't know if you're using APL or not, but my skill is still in session when I'm using APL. It just happens to be showing a video, which means that if I interrupt it by saying Alexa and talking to my skill, it should still be there. The thing that I want is to not have to say anything. I want the video to finish, and then I want Alexa to start talking. And that's not something that I know how to do yet. So that's the thing that I'm going to look into, is how do I get Alexa to pipe up after the video is done playing. I think you can do that with APL. That seems like a natural thing to have happen. But no, you shouldn't have to say exit or anything like that. You just have to know that you can interrupt the skill at any time with the wake word. Your skill is always still there. It's always still available. But you have to say Alexa. Yeah, like I said, Ice Cream, I'm pretty sure it's possible. I just don't know off the top of my head how to do it. And it'll take me enough. I don't like to do research on stream because that's pretty boring to watch. So I will dig into that offline, and then we can do the implementation on screen. So let's see if we can get one more chunk of content out of here. I have my prompt. This is the render document. This is the actor thing. I just fixed this, but I have another one. I don't seem to know that the actor for that character. I've asked my data manager to investigate. Agreed, I could just add it to the video to have them say Alexa. You could definitely do that. I'm not doing any video editing. I'm not adding anything to it, although I could. but it feels much more natural to just have the skill speak. And I'm pretty sure that that's possible. So a good workaround for you, if you want, is just to add it to the video, but I feel like there should be a better way. Okay, I don't seem to know the actor for a specific character. This is a thing that's probably going to exist for a little while. Yeah, you guys can find all of this code on my GitHub. It's not hidden by any means, but if you go to github.com/JeffBlankenburg, it is, if you go to repositories, it's usually the top one. I need to star it. Can I? But this is the thing, so I'll post a link to this. But if you guys are ever looking for it, it's always just here on my GitHub. Pretty much any code that I write is here on my GitHub, and you're welcome to grab it, play with it, whatever. That's why it's here. So that is the link. Do I want to extract this one? I mean, if I ever want to do this in multiple languages, I'm going to have to. So let's see if we can find some more interesting. I don't even think this really needs to exist anymore. I've kind of built some things around it, like the random intent handler. This is a good one. So this is where I couldn't find a type. So I'll come into my speech table, and we'll have a duplicate table. What do I call this? Type not found. And US. You can see I'm really pretty religious about adding my locale to everything. I haven't done it in my code yet, but I will. But the whole point of tagging all of my content by locale is that when I want to publish this to a second locale, I can use the user's locale for all of my queries as well, and it'll always pull the appropriate value from the appropriate table with the appropriate language without having to do any extra work. But if you're not religious about this stuff, it becomes very difficult. All right, I'm sorry, I couldn't find a... We're going to call this type from media. That'll work for now. Type not found. Okay, so in my code, we're going to take this, type not found, not found speech, copy this here, dot replace, semicolon. Okay, so this will be the type. And this will be the media. All right. That one should work. I'm probably going to have an instead table too, which annoys me to no end, but if I want to support multiple languages eventually, all of this stuff will have to go. All right, let's see if it works. Alexa, ask Star Wars Databank for a creature from Episode 9.
I'm sorry. I couldn't find a creature from Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. I have chosen a character for you instead. Leia Organa personally recruited Lama Desi to join the Resistance after years of service defending the Wall Inter-system.
Alexa, quit.
With the support...
The next stream will probably be Monday. Fridays get tricky. We're trying to scramble and get everything done for the week. So I think my regular schedule is going to be Monday, Wednesday here, and I'm on office hours a ton, which is Tuesdays. So I'll basically be streaming the first 3 days of every week. Right, at a minimum, the first 2. Okay, so I don't know if you guys noticed that, but they said dot. Alexa said dot as I was doing this. So I always add a space after all of my sentence chunks because it doesn't hurt, but it only helps keep my sentences separated. So that's good, and then we'll ultimately need that one too. But you can see how like you just got to think through all of your sentences. Here's another one. Your device doesn't support video. You asked me for the trailer for this. These are all chunks that I'll eventually have to move out. And what I end up with is this really nice array of speech chunks that are all the different kinds of speech that I find in my skill. And then I can randomize them. So sorry I couldn't find a type from media. I could have another one that's like, oops, I don't seem to have any information about a type from media. Right, and these simple little nuanced changes, these randomizations, makes the skill feel so much more customized and intimate because the user isn't hearing the same messages over and over and over again. Even if you have 3 or 4, it makes a big difference. And so I really like to randomize as much of my speech as I can, and this is an easy way to do that. It makes it easy for me to store. If I want to come back and work on this stuff, I don't have to touch any of the code. I can just add another record to this table, and it's in circulation and ready to go. So that's that. So we've done some of the externalizing content. I'm going to have to do a little bit more work on that. What does your skill do if it doesn't recognize one of the capitalized words? Well, that's on me to make sure I get it right, I suppose. But it would say the word if I don't replace it. So if, for example, I don't have those replace statements there at all, it would say this. I'm sorry, I couldn't find a type from media. But I am specifically in my code trying to, if I can find that one. I'm specifically trying to replace those words, type and media. So I'm doing a replace on those values, so I should be replacing them with actual values. And I've already gone through the process of writing the logic to make sure that I have the actual values themselves. And if for some reason I replace it with nothing, then it would say, I'm sorry, I don't have a for nothing, right? It would just end right there. But the intention is that I should have data. I should have the information that I need to be able to replace these values because I've already gone through that process. So if something bigger happens, like I'm not able to get data out of my database, that's a bigger issue. How long did it take you to get the skill to this level of complexity? Not long. I think that most of the complexity of this skill was probably built in a week. A lot of what I'm doing now is handling a lot of the edge cases and trying to polish things up. But the bulk of the time, if we take data away, writing this code, I mean, we have 700 lines of code. That's not a ton, especially because a lot of it is copy paste, whatever. But no, I don't feel like there's a lot to the code. I would say there's years of experience in thinking about. I would say Darth Vader said that in episode 5. Impressive. Because he's talking to Luke when he's fighting him for the first time. Most impressive. Yeah, something like that. I think that's right. But building the code, when I'm on stage, I always tell people, like, the hard part is not the coding. The hard part is actually this, the modeling. Like thinking about what my intents are going to be and how that stuff's going to work. But even this was pretty easy because I just knew I was breaking it down into a set of categories of content. And then I've added things like the crawls and the trailers and the actor names and random items. These are just abstractions on top of things I've already built. So this is the hard part, is really building a solid model for people to talk to. The coding is, it's relatively easy. I mean, yeah, you have to know how to code and make some calls out to the web or whatever, but I don't feel like I'm doing anything that's overly complex here. I think it's just a matter of getting things pieced together and put in the right order, and making sure that I'm being error friendly so that if something falls down that I'm prepared for that and I have a nice way to respond. And that's what my error handler is for, right? If something breaks, the skill doesn't just end. It just says to the user, like, hey, something went wrong. Let's try something else, right? Because it shouldn't be broken. And if, like, if the data service goes down, if Airtable stops working or something, that's not something I could control anyway. So, we live with the issues. All right, I'm about at time today, and I'm starving. It's lunchtime here on the East Coast. But I hope you guys got a little bit out of this. I know I learned a bunch today about mistakes I can make and how we can fix some things. So this is always super valuable for me to try to explain to other people what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And it gives me a lot of confidence when you guys see this stuff and you're like, oh, that's cool. Because I don't always know that it's cool. It's just a thing that I'm building right now to solve a problem that I have right now. All right, I guess that's probably going to be it for me. I am glad you guys all got to join me, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. I will officially be here back Monday, but I'm reworking this whole thing so you can see how I have the little view of me with the camera and the bottom third there, and I've got the chat up here on the right. I have some ideas on how to rearrange some of this stuff, and I'm also going to use some new software. So one of the other things that I'm going to be doing this week is completely switching over. Hopefully I'll have that new camera that will give us some new interesting angles. And I'll also have my camera trained on my Alexa device again working so that everything is super awesome for streaming. So again, thank you guys all for joining. This is always really fun. And tune in for Jeff Nunn on Friday. He does some really cool stuff with robotics. He is on the Amazon Alexa channel, obviously. So I'll see you all soon. Thanks again for tuning in.